Welcome everyone to our second Meet the Coach interview. I'm Gretchen Owens, the Executive Director of EDD Adaptive Sports, and I'm really excited to be joined today by our partners from SUNY Morrisville. I'm here with Jeff Moore and with Jennifer Kohler. And Jeff and Jennifer partnered with us last spring to start a new kickball program for EDD participants in Central New York, and it was just a fantastic program. Everyone there had such a good time spending the afternoon in the field house at Morrisville. And by the end of the day, they had renamed themselves Team Best Friends, I think, which was really just kind of a perfect encapsulation of that day. So thanks for being here with us today. And thanks again for partnering with EDD to share sports with kids and adults with disabilities. So I wanted to get to know, a little bit more about your sports background, your coaching background, and just share some fun stories with our community of athletes and people who care about adaptive sports. So Jeff, I thought I'd start with you because we have a little bit of a history. Jeff and I both grew up in Oneonta, New York, so we have that fun connection to Soccertown, USA. And as far back as I can remember, almost not everybody, but tons of little kids play soccer in Oneonta. It's definitely the sport that lots of people gravitate to. So Jeff, I remember you being on the high school team, but I'm imagining before I even knew you, you were playing soccer. So how did you get your start in sports?
So, like you said, grew up in Oneonta in the 80s, not trying to date myself too much, but, in the 80s, Hartwick College and Oneonta State were two of the top Division I programs in the country. And, at the time, soccer wasn't really on television like it is now. And that was the thing to do in a small town on the weekends was go up and watch Hartwick or watch Oneonta play. Those teams were so good, and it was really inspiring to have a chance to watch them, and um, got me started playing. I'd go to the camps and we work with their players and their coaches, and um, really got me to really fall in love with the game, and kind of took off from there and just played it the rest of my life. Plus, I couldn't hit a baseball, so that's little league out of the equation.
I'm right there with you on that one. Jennifer, how about you? Did you start off playing field hockey, or did you get a start with a different sport?
Yeah, so I actually started with playing soccer. I'm from Connecticut, so the area I was in, travel soccer, little soccer, that was really big. So I started playing soccer. I'm the youngest of three girls, so we all played soccer growing up. My middle sister is the only one that actually stuck with it, which is good because she was the best of the three of us. But I actually picked up field hockey my fifth grade year. Our high school coach was running a camp in town, and my oldest sister was trying out for the field hockey team. So she went, and they told her that she was allowed to bring me with her. And I had never played before. I just wanted to try it, mostly because my older sister was doing it. So that's where I first tried it. I just fell in love with it. At the time, I was actually battling tendonitis in both my knees. So when I went to the doctors, I told them I was playing travel soccer about 5-6 days a week, and then I was also playing field hockey on top of it. And they said, you got to choose one right now. That's a lot. So I decided to stick with field hockey just because it was really new, and soccer was something I had done for a long time. Field hockey was weird and not something you see a lot of places. It definitely wasn't very popular where I was from. So I decided to do that, which I really enjoyed through middle school and high school. At the same time, when I was in fourth grade, I actually started doing luge, and I stuck with luge for the USA Olympic Development and Candidate Select Team for 10 years. I ended up retiring from the luge program when I was a junior in high school, and at that point had decided to go to college, and I wanted to pursue playing field hockey. So I got a little more involved with summer camps and teams and things like that. And that's kind of what launched me into my college career. I played field hockey there, and just, luge was one of my main passions. But as far as a warmer sport and a team-oriented sport, field hockey definitely was the winner there.
Fun. So do you ever go back to luge after you retire? Like, is it something that you've, taken a run recently?
I definitely haven't. We trained in Lake Placid, New York, out of the Olympic Training Center. That's where we lived. And we were usually up there for training anywhere from like 2 weeks to 2 months at a time. So we went to school up there, we trained up there. It's something as a little kid when I had friends leave the team, we always promised each other that like we would come back and we would do extra runs. But then when I retired, when I went to college, I actually went to school down in Arkansas. So definitely no loose tracks, no opportunities down there. So took a while off from it. I've been back to Lake Placid twice now since I've moved up this way, which has just been awesome. In some ways, it hasn't changed at all. In some ways, it's changed a lot. I haven't been able to take any runs, but hopefully at some point I will.
How about the giant slide onto the lake at Lake Placid? Have you gone down that?
Yes, yeah, that was one of our like always had so much fun doing that as a kid. They had toboggan races.
That looks fantastic. We were just there last, or I guess it's been a year and a half now since we were there, but it was the summertime, so we weren't able to go down that giant slide onto the lake, but it tempted us to get back there in the wintertime so that we could try that out.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. You go so far out into the lake. They have a huge trophy. They also do like dog sled events on the lake during the wintertime. So if you guys are up there, you should definitely try that out.
That's great. All right, anyone in the upper regions of the Adirondacks, go check that out this winter because that will be fun. All right, so Jeff, as you developed as a player, when did you, or did you have sort of a moment where you realized, you know, I kind of want to get into coaching, or did it just kind of evolve over time? How did you end up in the coaching track?
Yeah, sure. So after I was done playing, it doesn't really occur to you, like, it doesn't occur to you that you can be a coach. Like it, for some reason, everybody's like get a job, like like a normal job. Um, you know, and it, kind of hit me where I was like, coaching some youth teams. I'm like, geez, I still love this. Like, I can't get away from the game. And, I was at Delhi and I spoke to the coach there, and he had me come on as his assistant. And so I did a year with him, and as luck would have it, he retired after that season. So they brought me on and as a head coach, and it was the worst season they'd ever had my first year. So I was like, wait, maybe this isn't for me. But I learned on the job, and I sort of developed over time. And look, any job that you can wear sweatpants to work every day is a plus in my book. It's like a dream come true. Like it's sneakers and sweatpants and a hooded sweatshirt. Like that's the attire. So that part, obviously is awesome. But it's one of those things that it never occurred to me as a player that I would coach, because it just never clicked in my brain until after I was done playing. And then you miss it as an athlete. You miss playing the sports. You miss being in the locker room with the guys, and the competition pieces. You can never get rid of that. And so you try different jobs, and you try different things, and it's always in there in the back of your head, like, God, I want to play. I still want to play. And as you get older, the body tells you can't anymore. And so having that opportunity at Delhi was really a springboard for me into sticking with it and making it a full-time career.
And you coached at Delhi for several years, is that right?
I was there for 5 years. It was a great time. I enjoyed it. The student athletes there were tremendous. We had some very good teams. My last year there, I started to get to a point where I wanted something a bit more, because at a junior college, you're only there 2 years. And I felt like I would get, these young men into this place where they're about to take the next step, but then they would go somewhere else because their time was up at Delhi. And so I really wanted to work in a 4-year program so I could watch, young men kind of make that transition from 18 years old and not understanding how to do their own laundry to, going out into the world and being a productive part of society and having jobs and families. And, so that was sort of when I made that transition to Oneonta State, after that 5th year, where I really wanted, that experience of working with the young men for 4 years.
Great. And then from SUNY Oneonta, did you move from SUNY Oneonta to Morrisville?
Yes, yep. So I spent 9 years, 9 awesome years at Oneonta. A lot of great relationships. You know, Ian, the head coach there, is excellent. He's a mentor. He's one of my good friends. You know, some of the other assistant coaches along the way, John Hain was tremendous to work with him, and Ryan Palmer was another assistant that I got to work with. And we had some great teams and some great times. Had a lot of success. Um, you know, but as Ian told me, he said you can't be an assistant coach for the rest of your life. You know, at some point you've got to go and take on a program on your own. And so when the Morrisville job opened and they reached out to me, I felt like I had to take it. And you know, no looking back. I love it here.
Great. That's great. And Jennifer, how about you? How did you come to coaching?
Yeah, kind of similar to Jeff. I think I just got to the point where I realized like I wasn't ready to step away from it. In my situation, the school I had gone to in Arkansas, my freshman year, I was joining a brand new program. So my freshman year, I played with the seniors that started the program there. So it meant a lot to me to have the opportunity by the time I graduated. You know, at that point I was looking at, do I go to grad school? What do I do? And I wasn't really sure yet, but I knew I wanted to do something staying involved with sports. And the opportunity opened up to work there. And I think, you know, I was really excited about that because I had seen it from the girls that started the program to then getting to coach and recruit every class after that, including the ones that I had played with. So that was a really special opportunity to continue to be a part of that. So I stayed there and I was the assistant coach for field hockey for 4 seasons. I also was the assistant coach for women's lacrosse for 3 seasons, which I had never played. But it was awesome. And I had some really great mentors that helped me learn it along the way. And I knew a lot of the girls. And then my last season with coaching field hockey, I also was a strength and conditioning coach for 5 of the programs there. So that had kind of evolved over those 4 years. And then I've been coaching here at Morrisville for 3 years. So I think, yeah, largely same as Jeff. I just knew I wanted to stay involved in sports in some capacity. And, you know, the sports in general and the sport of field hockey in particular with the coaches and mentors and teammates I've had has just given me so much. So then when the opportunity presented itself to continue to grow the game and do that through a shared passion and get to create a culture and a support system for young women to grow up in, it definitely wasn't an opportunity I was going to say no to. So that's kind of how I got started and how I got here.
That's fantastic. And I noticed how you both, you know, mentioned kind of mentoring your athletes as they're growing through your program. And obviously that encompasses more than sport when you're working with young adults. And it also makes me think of our programs and how, you know, how much our athletes get from participating with college athletes and kind of buddying up with them to work on skills and just to socialize and have a good time. So I'd love to hear from both of you about, so, you know, sort of what motivated you to want to partner with EDD last year or earlier this year, actually, to start a partnership where your athletes are, you know, essentially working as instructors or helpers on the field with our participants. And as I mentioned at the top, we did a kickball program, and it was great to have, we had just a host of SUNY Morrisville athletes there from both the men's soccer team and the women's field hockey team buddying up with our participants there. And it just worked really well. So I'd love to hear a little bit from both of you just about how we got there.
Jeff, I'll go first.
Okay.
Well, I just want to say Jeff is the one that had introduced me and Holly, our assistant coach, to EDD Adaptive Sports. And I know our whole program is very thankful for that and him introducing us to you and EDD Adaptive Sports. I think when Jeff had pitched the idea to me to come together with his program and to run a kickball event and run an event with you guys, it was kind of twofold, right? So the opportunity to work with another sports team on campus, I knew from a coaching perspective, I thought would really benefit our culture on campus, as well as the unity amongst athletics and the relationship between our 2 teams. Since we had kids that were friends with each other, some that didn't know each other. So that was definitely an appealing aspect to it. But I think one of the biggest aspects for me and our staff was that it was going to be a project and an event where unlike other community service events we've done, where our kids have really been able to see how they've been helping the community, I knew our kids would also be impacted by it as well. And it would be a climate and an atmosphere where I thought everybody would be impacted and everybody would be brought out of their comfort zone and everybody would be able to make that impact on each other. So that was one of the reasons that I definitely thought that it was a great idea. I'm very thankful for that. Our kids have not stopped talking about the event. They've been so excited for future events and how we can help and get involved. But yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, so I actually, for an internship, one of my projects was working with EDD in the yoga class in Oneonta.
That's right.
So that's how I kind of was introduced to it. And the first thing that I noticed when I started is how appreciative the group that comes in and works from EDD are to people that are helping them out, and how much they enjoy every aspect of it. They love it all. And so selfishly, it sort of becomes almost like, with wanting to not being able to walk away from coaching. It's hard to walk away from that feeling of working with that population of young adults and older adults that benefit from the program, and that feeling that they give me, to be honest with you, is something that I just love. They're such a fun-loving, excited, appreciative group, and so I wanted to stay involved, and I knew that it would be a benefit to my student athletes to get that same feeling, and then also to give back. I think the statistic is somewhere around 7% of all high school athletes become college athletes.
Okay.
So we're a very, very small population of young people that have an opportunity and a gift to play sports at a high level. And I think that at times, sometimes they take that for granted, that we have this gift to play, and to be able to give back is really important. And I think community service and working with folks within the community is I think one of the pillars of a good program. It brings the team together. As Jen said, they see each other in a different light. And the takeaway that I had from the kickball thing was like, I've never felt so positive working in an environment ever. There's some guys, you work with them, and I'm sure Jen can attest to this too, that, you get players, you work with them for the year, they frustrate you, they don't do this, they don't do that, or it's a frustrating process as you climb the ladder from being a freshman to a senior, and to see them in that moment, our young student athletes, come out of their shell and just excel is, it feels good, and to watch the group that came in from you folks, it was, and how much fun they had. And some of the participants kind of sat in the corner to start, and they weren't sure, and then as we progressed, to see them come out, and then they're running around the field and laughing and having a good time, and hugs, which hopefully someday we can get back to. It was just a great feeling, and I enjoyed it, and our guys are looking forward to doing more projects as we move forward.
So are we. I can definitely relate to what you're saying, Jeff, of that selfishly, like it feels so good to be at our programs and to be part of it. And that's a culture that we work hard to create at our programs, that positivity and that sense of belonging for everybody. But it's great to see too, I've observed as we've done these programs, the impact on college athletes and how much it can just open their minds to the power of sport and how it can go beyond just the game, or beyond, just competition. There's just so much richness there, and so much that they can share with others that maybe they hadn't thought about before, similar to the way that you hadn't thought about coaching before. It's really wonderful to see college athletes realizing, hey, I have these skills that I can share, and it really can have such a huge impact on somebody else, just just by simply spending an hour teaching some skills that I know really well, can totally make somebody's day or somebody's week. It's great to see that. And I was really so impressed with your student athletes in that regard.
Gretchen,
Yeah,
I
thank
wanted
you.
to say too, I think one of the big impacts I think I saw come out of the kickball event, and Jeff can probably attest this too, is that I felt like it represented our style of coaching well. Like I know for both of us in our programs, we're not just here trying to coach field hockey and soccer players and just focus on the X's and O's and then that's it for the 2 hours a day that we practice and then we don't see them again. Like we're invested in these kids, we're invested in their journey during college, after college. And I think getting them to understand that an event with your athletes like kickball or any type of event that we can do, it's about building people as a holistic person and not just focusing on the athletic skills on the field that pertain to them. It's about developing their communication skills and their leadership skills and knowing that though they have the power to impact a community, they need to see how the community can impact them as well. And being able to understand how they can be a really, really big part of that, even if they're just one person. I know folds into both of our coaching styles really well. So it was a nice event to really get them to understand kind of from our perspective what we're trying to teach them in their 4 years.
For sure. Yeah. And we were saying just a minute ago before the interview started how like we have this great kickball program that started off our partnership with SUNY Morrisville, and then we needed to pause because of COVID. But all three of us are really excited to get back to it. And as soon as we safely can, we will start rolling out some more opportunities, whether it's kickball or we've talked about pickleball, or maybe we'll cook something else up. But to wrap up today, I wanted to ask each of you how you are staying active right now, because that's certainly one of the challenges for our athletes when we're not together right now. So I wonder how you're staying active and how you are encouraging your student athletes to stay active right now. So I'm going to pick on Jen first this time.
Well, encouraging them to stay active for me is pretty easy. I run strength and conditioning programs for 9 or 10 of our teams here at Morrisville. So I design the workouts and send them to them. But I've been trying, versus the start of COVID, I would send them the workouts, and now I'm trying to figure out ways to provide a little bit more interactive with the workout programs. I know with my team, we're going to be doing group Zoom workouts, hopefully some yoga, some HIIT workouts. So just trying to encourage them, especially right now, this week is finals week for them. So trying to provide them with a little bit more education on how exercise affects the body in a time of such mental stress and unknown, how it can help them with their sleep and their mental and emotional and physical health, and kind of trying to encourage different areas of that to help them hopefully find some peace during the day. As far as my personal fitness, it's been a struggle. I've been trying to take advantage of some different yoga programs, some different at-home workouts. It's fully snow here in New York, so it's a little hard to get outside as far as being active there, but trying to do what I can with at-home workouts.
That's when you put the yak tracks on and you just go out the door.
Yeah, I know, right? Hopefully some snowboarding here in a bit. We just need a little bit more snow.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, so for me, I'm fortunate that I'm spending a lot of time on a Zoom, so you can't see from, what's going on from the head down pretty much. So that tells you about my activity level. No, I kid. One of the things that, and I spoke to my student athletes when we got back on campus this fall, is that, I found myself lacking some motivation throughout this because we've kind of lost something that we all love, and that's competition. Being around each other, playing, like I said, the hugs and the high fives and all that stuff. And we can't do that now. And as the coach, the leader, I found myself, struggling to get motivated to do things at times. And as I said to my student athletes, that the hardest thing to do is at any level is to be self-aware and to know, look, I'm not motivated right now. I feel it, I see it, and now I have to push through it and try to do something to get myself going. And so, our practice sessions this fall were good, and I took the approach of just to have fun. You know, we're not gaining anything in terms of the competitive advantage. The training sessions we had this fall, it was just more about getting our guys together, letting them have a laugh and a joke, and then playing soccer for a bit, and getting expanding their lungs and running, and getting some exercise. It's very easy to fall into the trap of staying home because there isn't anywhere really to go. And like you said, a great idea. Put on the snowshoes and go for a walk. I got a Peloton. I when we first set it up, it was funny. I put the helmet on. My kids were downstairs playing Xbox, and then we had the thing. So I put the bike helmet on, and I got on, and I was like, "Let's go. We're gonna do some biking." So that's what I've been doing to stay kind of healthy and keep my brain straight. Is to do some exercising on the Peloton, and then working, staying up to date with the recruiting and all that stuff keeps you kind of focused and on a path. But certainly it's hard, and motivation is very difficult in this climate. Because it is, like I said, it's easy to put on your pajamas and do a couple Zoom meetings, and then it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're like, I haven't even showered yet. I'm still in my pajamas working at home. So it's been a challenge, but it's also been a bit of a blessing being able to spend more time at home with my family, and learning to communicate a different way. We're adapting and trying to figure it out. So
Yep, we've all done a lot of adapting in the last few months. That's for sure.
oh yes.
That's for sure. Any last thoughts you want to share before we wrap up? A tip for some of our athletes who are at home, or just a last message?
You want me to go first there, Jen?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So, I think that my last message and sort of tips for our athletes at home is, stay motivated. When you think you can't go, keep going, push through it, and you're going to feel better for doing it. And, there's no amount of exercise that's too little. Just taking a walk around the house, that can be enough to get you going. And, I think just stick with it, and keep your eyes going forward, and know that there's going to be an end to this that we're in, and then we're going to be back playing kickball before you know it.
For sure.
Yeah, I'd agree. Mine is kind of off of that. I think, like Jeff said, no exercise is too little, and I think it's just really important during this time to check in with yourselves and to really make sure that you're listening to yourself. And if you are really unmotivated, being able to admit that, or maybe call a friend and talk about it for a minute, because I think admitting it is part of kind of that healing process to figuring out how to move forward rather than sitting in it. So I think, even like Jeff said, if that's a walk around the house or walk around the block or something, I think that definitely will help you kind of get out of that. And some days you just need the rest. Some days you need to be kind to yourself and know, like, hey, I don't have it today, but I will be more rested to get after it tomorrow. So I think that's really, really important. And I would say the other aspect is utilizing your community and your support system. I know all the athletes that I met all have people in their lives that really, really love them. So sometimes when they are unmotivated, or they are maybe stressed out about the unknown, it will be over at some point, but reaching out to the people that are there for us and care for us can definitely help. But the other thing on that I just want to say is that we're really looking forward to continuing this partnership, and we're looking forward to playing kickball and pickleball and hugging again and being team best friends. And we're definitely, everybody here at Morrisville is very excited for that.
Great. Well, that's a perfect note to end on. So thank you again for being here with us and sharing some stories about your careers and what's led you to where we are. And thanks again for starting this partnership.